Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plotlines. I'm your host, Connor. And before we get to our episode today, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. This episode is going to be releasing a week-ish from when we're recording it. So at this point, I just recently got over 500 subscribers. So thank you all for supporting what we're doing here at Plotlines. Enoch, thank you. I know you shared it on Twitter. And then but yeah, so join our Discord if you want to continue the discussion outside of YouTube and outside of podcast sites. And then so today I have Enoch, the recording artist, and we're gonna discuss his music and sort of just uh basically whatever we get into. Enoch, welcome to the show.
Connor, I appreciate the invite, bud. Thanks for letting me hang out with you.
No problem. I know we've spent some time on avoiding Babylon on the trivia show, but it hasn't just been just the two of us. So
Right. Yeah. This
yeah,
is great. Thank you.
no problem.
And
So
congrats on the 500 subs, bud. Very well deserved.
thank you. I appreciate that. It does feel like a grind, very much so. But I think everyone feels that way. So there are I think there are a few people that like start off and they're just like they rise through the ranks immensely quickly.
Yeah. That's there's a few. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually they're supported by some corporation of some sort.
Right. That's usually what it is. Or they get a big push from a big account.
Yeah, exactly. So it requires it's all about who you know kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it seems to be that way. Yeah.
It's all a game of networking. But but let's get into your work. So you in 2022, so how many months was it when you released your album?
I released my album in March. Well, end of
Okay.
March, beginning of April. It really wasn't um, put out there for the public until April 19th. I 2 days after Easter is what I decided to do.
Okay, awesome. And it's called Tradiciones,
Correct.
which has obvious references to a certain moda proprio.
That's right. Yeah, correct.
Was
Um,
that is that exactly where that name came from, or did it have other meanings prior?
no, it had other meanings prior.
Okay.
Traditionis, which pretty much means of the tradition,
Mm-hmm.
and the album really displays a lot of natural law, traditional family values. That's why I called it that, and I guess it was a whole coincidence with the motor proprio.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's interesting that it's a coincidence. It makes me think of how coincidental or providential, I guess, more so, that like the Mass of the Ages came out around the same time as well.
That's true. Yeah,
Like,
that's a good point.
so I think this is all, all connected and stuff like that. But
Sure.
so Tradiciones, is it specifically a rap album?
No, not necessarily. It's mostly rap. There are some, popish R&B slash melodic tunes to it. Now, I can't sing to save my life. All right, you might catch me singing in the shower. It might sound decent. Other than that, I can't sing.
Okay.
I'm a horrible singer. I'm off key, but I like writing melodic songs more than I like writing rap songs. Because it's more challenging trying to come up, with rap, you come up with the cadence and the words and the multiple syllable rhymes. But the other one, mainly because I like coming up with hooks which are more melodic in a rap song. I wanted to come up with songs that are more melodic and R&B-ish and popish, but I couldn't sing. But I thought to myself, there's got to be some stuff out there that can make me sound decent nowadays. With pitch correction and autotune.
Uh-huh.
So I decided to take a chance. I took a risk. I made my first song. When it came back to me from the engineers, it sounded decent enough, so I decided to make more. So looking for my baby, gender roles, those are a little bit more melodic.
Yeah. And and the reason I asked is because I don't know much. Like I can listen to music and but I don't really know anything about music.
Sure.
except for when whether I like it or not. That's the only thing that I know, is whether I like it or not. And
Sure.
I think I do like the melodic music. Um, sort of that might be more of my favorite ones.
Right.
Um,
Right. Makes sense.
I'm a sucker for the love ones. That anything to do with love, I
Yeah.
get to be a sucker with.
So Don't Need a Reason, I think, is the one that it's really a song about my family.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's so much heart in your music that
Thank you.
and it's very beautiful things. So it's not just like people can put heart into things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those things that they put heart into are beautiful, because they can feel something for somebody or something else, but it can be incredibly disordered.
Sure. Yeah. No. I appreciate you saying that. I specifically like to work with producers or pick certain instrumentals off of their catalog that have different type of shift within the melody. So that way it's not looped too much because most of rap is looped.
Hmm.
Um, and I try to do that on purpose to try to, I guess, what you call syncopated music. Try to get away as much as I can from the syncopated. Now with rap, it's hard to get away from it, but if you can minimize it as much as possible, that's what I really try to do.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. As much as I can understand that. Uh, but but yeah, no. So where did this come from? Where did you start when it comes to music? Because it seems like, I mean, I'd kind of heard of you, but I also hadn't heard I. But you were like out there, but I didn't know what you were doing prior
Yeah, I
to.
just popped out of nowhere, really. Actually, I started rapping in seventh grade, but believe it or not, it was around seventh grade I started writing music. I was really influenced with the hip hop scene in the '90s. You know, I was going to public school. I was listening to secular music. I was really influenced with the what they called the East Coast versus West Coast beef at the time. I was influenced with that. I really liked the East Coast rappers, and I was really into lyricism. So my brother and I decided to start in the seventh grade, and we really didn't put anything on wax or anything on record until probably in our, from seventh grade probably to our early 20s. So it was a lot of writing, but nothing really on record until the early 20s. And it was secular music, but clean. I didn't want to curse. I had enough judgment to do that. And we didn't transition over to Catholic rap until maybe I would say 2008.
Word from our affiliate, Bishop Sheen Rosaries. You've probably worn through the chain of your cheap plastic rosary. Other rosaries simply can't stand up to the wear and tear of everyday life. Bishop Sheen rosaries are made of solid metal beads and paracord to withstand any condition and are backed with a lifetime warranty. Upgrade your rosary to a Bishop Sheen rosary made to fit your lifestyle or buy one for a friend. Each rosary sold supplies 2 weeks of food for a school kid in Uganda. You use the exclusive link down below to help support our efforts here at Plotlines. The link will take you to sheenrosaries.com. Be sure to use the code Plotlines10.
Gotcha.
So
It's just
yeah.
Catholic rap in of itself sounds just kind of it seems some to on its sort of first glance, it seems like a contradiction. Um,
It does. Yeah,
how do
it does.
you how do you explain that to people, or how do you sort of overcome people's initial reactions there?
Sure. No, it's a fair question. Something I struggle with myself as well, um, because looking at music theory, music does have a hierarchy in of itself. Because music comes from within man, it really does equal the hierarchy of man itself. You know, the man being the intellect, the highest, the will, and the emotion. And music has this hierarchy. It's the melody, the harmony, and the beat. So rap is syncopated, so it takes that perfect harmony, melody harmony, that perfect order, and it really turns it around to where the beat, the emotions is really, because rap really is derived from rock and jazz, and rock and jazz is also syncopated. But you can make the case that country music is also syncopated. You can make a case that folk music can also be a bit syncopated too. But rap could probably be a little bit more depending on which instrumentals you're choosing to do. And I would say, but it's a great question, Connor, because I would say other than Gregorian chant and classical music, which deals with the intellect and the will, there really isn't music out there that's not in some way affected or syncopated, which overturns the hierarchy of music. So in moderation, it's acceptable as long as it doesn't violate the principle of the integral good, which means as long as it doesn't promote blasphemy or immodesty. Which, when you talk about Catholic rap, what it really is you have the form of the medium, which is the music rap form, right? And it has a driving direct Catholic message to it. So that's what Catholic rap is really about.
Gotcha. And you're not I think to us this is very just an obvious point, but you're not trying to get it to be played in church.
Absolutely not. No, it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong in the liturgy at all. I don't even think, I don't even think, what they call nowadays. They call that Christian rock, praise and worship music. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Which is not even worship, because worship requires sacrifice, and the liturgy is the highest form of worship. I don't even think that belongs at mass, to be honest with you, either. I think the church should stick with Gregorian chant alone, unless you have a Mozart type mass, and then classical music can be entered in through the pipe organ. But no, I'm 100% believer that Gregorian chant belongs to the liturgy, and rap should be as far away as possible. Maybe in the hall next door, doing some type of concert type thing where it's moderated. That's acceptable, but no, not in the liturgy at all.
Yeah, no, I thought we were both on the same page there. I just wanted to make it clear to everyone that's where
No,
that's where we're
that.
going for.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I don't want people to think that I think this music belongs in the liturgy.
Well, that's what people might think when they hear Catholic music in any sense, is in the sort of the religious only, like, liturgical sense. I think that's might be what some people hear when they hear the just, if you put it's like Catholic country, you know what I mean? Like, or it's like Christian rock. Christian rock is what people, the reason it exists is
Right.
In the minds of those artists are usually for praise and worship, and
Right.
that usually is within some liturgical sense.
Yeah, youth masses will have that a lot of times. I think youth masses should be the TLM, because that's where the youth are mostly.
Youth masses are like for 70-year-olds.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Everything is stuck in the 60s and the 70s regarding youth. No matter how old the youth are, and no matter how the youth are always young, but no matter which generation it is, that is the youth.
That's a good point. And if you don't mind me adding to that, Connor, I think you brought up a good point here. I think the danger that we can get into when it comes to music is when you have syncopated music that's played predominantly among the youth, or even among ourselves. This is why I said, even my album should be listened to in moderation. And I think the people that mostly gravitate to my album are men who like to work out, because what they're really doing is they're taking the proper understanding of rap, which is beat, which drives the adrenaline, the emotion, kind of like a marching band, having some type of march that would help the soldiers. It kind of gives you that extra pump when you're at the gym. So in moderation is acceptable. What I don't recommend is, people playing my album throughout the whole day, throughout the house, every day, all day.
Oh no, I'm in trouble.
Not every day. You probably played it today just to, to get a good understanding. But I would say every day is not. It's not so. I think Gregorian chant can be played every day, all day, and it wouldn't affect the emotions. So I think a lot of times in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and even especially the 90s, I think this was a problem. Is you had because I did youth ministry for 10 years. I was director of youth ministry for 10 years, and I
Were you a
realized,
Catholic at that point?
oh yeah. I
Okay,
just
'cause
gave it up 2 years ago when I moved to Kentucky. So I was director of youth ministry for
okay,
10 years in a local parish of San Diego. Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, I
confirmation.
I know you at one point fell away from the faith. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was in the early 2000s.
Okay, so yeah, so that's why I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
early 2000s.
Were you with a different denomination during that time, or were you just nothing?
Non-denomination.
Okay,
Yeah, I went from being a creaster, which is going to mass Christmas, Easter only, and then it was really my own interpretation of scripture that led me to the Rock, which was a big which was a big Protestant church in San Diego. As a matter of fact, Miles McPherson was the pastor, and he was an ex-Charger player.
it's ironic that it's named The Rock.
Right. Yeah, because they probably think that they're the Rock that Christ was talking about.
They are Peter.
Yeah, that's probably that's probably
That's
which is completely wrong. Peter is Peter.
yeah.
But yeah, I was brought back into the fold of the Catholic faith specifically, and I would say specifically due to the church fathers. They're
Okay.
really the ones that brought me back. They're undefeated.
Is that I can't remember. Is there a song dedicated to the church fathers?
You can kind of like Die for This was
Okay.
really,
Yeah.
Die for, which was a single off the first album. I really had the fathers and the apostles in mind, especially their heroic virtue, dying for Christ, and just I guess in a way being eager to do so because they knew martyrdom was going to bring them everlasting life.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's definitely a pump you up song, Die for This.
Yeah, it's a fight song. We need a fight song in the Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely just it's sort of it's just amazing to think because I feel like I can't think of another person who's doing what you're doing. Do you know of anyone who's come before you in that?
Yeah. So there's a few people. So you had Righteous B early on. He was doing some Catholic rap. You had Father Stan Fortuna. I don't know if you know him. He's a Franciscan.
Does he
Father
does he
Stan.
does he do rap?
Father Stan is an incredible talent, and he could play every instrument. He could do jazz. He could do rap. Father Stan was a Franciscan. He's in New York.
Okay.
Great personality. So Father Stan was doing it, and then you have I think Joe Melendrez. He does a little bit more of that kind of like a dancey type of rap. It's a little bit. It's not as I guess. I would say that the message is not in your face Catholic. It's kind of mixed with just basic Protestant Catholic type of message. Um, and then you have Foundation, which is a group of 5 guys, and all of them are extremely talented. And those guys I highly recommend people listen to because Foundation came a little bit after my brother and I when we were doing it early on, 2010.
Okay.
But they kept doing it throughout the 2010s when my brother and I got married and had kids, and we took like a 10-year break, and then I decided to come back this year for the
Gotcha.
music.
Do you have things out there prior than this
Yeah,
year?
we have an album out called Spirit versus Flesh. My
Okay.
brother and I, and it's out on Pandora, Spotify. It's on Spotify because it didn't exist at the time, I don't think, but it's out there, so you can find it. It's called at the time we were called Elijah and Elisha.
Okay.
So I was
Interesting.
Elisha, and I decided to change my name to Enoch when I went solo, I guess.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. What made you take on the name Enoch?
Well, it actually means so it's E-K-N-O-K, knock. It actually means eternity knocks.
Okay.
That's what the true meaning of it is. It's eternity knocks, whether it's heaven or hell. Uh, and it's also the fact that Enoch was assumed
Not
into eternity.
not dead.
Not dead, yeah.
Never died.
Never died. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
He never died. And Elijah too, right? I believe Elijah and Enoch.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So both of them.
They're
Yeah.
two
Okay.
of the five. Yeah.
So a good combo there.
That's right. And my brother's gonna be in this album. My brother's on the first album too. If you remember the song, what is the song? Is it Glory to God? That's the song.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
he's on the
definitely
second verse.
heard a different voice in at least one
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, that was my brother, and then he's gonna be on two songs of this new album that I'm almost done with.
How many songs are gonna be on that one?
About 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So are you Roman Catholic or are you Eastern Catholic?
Technically Eastern,
Okay.
because I never really switched over to the Roman, and I have no intention to do so,
Mm-hmm.
because I actually like the the initiation sacrament of baptism and confirmation in the Eastern Rite,
Isn't it
administered
called chrismation?
chrismation. Yeah, so that's confirmation, chrismation. You're right, and that's what I have all four of my boys baptized and confirmed or chrism in the Syriac Rite.
A
Now, I
Syriac.
like
Okay.
that better. Even though I did confirmation for 10 years for teenagers, I still prefer infant chrism or confirmation.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Why do you prefer that? I've some people I know there are people that like are bothered by that.
Yeah, no, and I can kind of see both ways. And me personally, the way that the reason I like that is because I think the parents are the first teachers and apostles of the children. So catechesis should not be delegated. Catechesis should be done at home as much as possible. So why not give them all the graces that they need at baptism or as infants, and then you can keep fanning the fire as they get older, so they have the graces already there in the Holy Spirit, rather than giving them baptism and then teaching them, then waiting till they're teenagers, then giving them the gifts of the Spirit. I think you can go both ways. I just prefer the first one.
They receive communion at the same time, right?
No, that's the Byzantine. The
Oh,
Byzantine
okay.
will do that. Yeah, my tradition does not do that. I wish it did, because if you're going to give them the graces, you should give them something to continue to nourish the graces, right?
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on either. I respect both, but I don't really have any strong opinions
Sure.
on either. I mean, what is it? I mean, there are people that think you should wait even longer for confirmation. People who are just,
Wow.
who like think that their child needs to make that decision like when they're much older. And
Yeah,
um,
yeah, and that's what I was dealing with at confirmation for 10 years.
yeah,
A lot of
well,
them.
when I mean much later, I mean even beyond when
Oh, but high school.
yeah, beyond, and even sometimes beyond that, people are very strange. I've heard somebody say that they weren't going to baptize their kids until it was their decision. So that's pretty bonkers as well.
Are you gonna wait till they, you're not gonna teach them to brush their teeth till they decide as well? I mean,
That'd be hilarious.
yeah,
It is the
yeah.
same
I don't agree
mentality.
with that. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, no,
We baptize 6 days, 5 or 6 days after birth.
yeah, I think at least it used to be maybe 60 days. If you didn't baptize your child in 60 days without a good reason, it was a mortal sin. I'm not
Rightfully
sure.
so.
I'm not sure if it's canonically that way, but anymore. But
Right.
I know that used to be the canonical rule, or something
Cool.
along those lines. I could be wrong about the exact nature of the
Okay.
amount of days, but I know it was regulated in the, I think it's 1917 Code of Canon Law.
Got it.
But yeah, and I imagine, I mean, with the Eastern Catholic churches, they have their own Code of Canon Law. Is it
Yes.
that? Do you know how different it is, comparatively?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I think my brother might. He's more. So I attend the TLM.
Mm-hmm.
He attends the Chaldean, right? So I think he's gonna be
Okay.
more versed on the East versus West. He's really big on the Eastern Father, especially when it comes to the Marian dogmas.
So why do you attend a traditional Latin mass, even though you are an Eastern Catholic?
Well, mainly because I'm in Kentucky and there's no Eastern rites at all here.
There are no Eastern rites at all?
No, not at all. The closest is going to be in Cincinnati, and even that is a Maronite.
That's still Eastern, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
okay.
specifically Syriac,
Yeah, no.
and the closest Syriac mass to me is Detroit.
Did you say the closest is in Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit, yeah. To
That's
me, yeah,
insane.
right. So
So
6 hours.
I mean, that is kind of the difficulties of having sort of Eastern rites being also in the West. I mean,
Yeah,
that just makes things much more complicated.
yeah. They're really. I mean, if you think about it, to their, give them the benefit of the doubt, they're going to put their parishes and their dioceses where there's a large population of of Syriac and Chaldeans. You have Arizona, you have California and Detroit. That's the majority. A lot of Arabs are there when they migrated from northern Iraq or Syria. This is really where they came. So it doesn't make much sense for them to put a parish in Kentucky when no one's going to attend.
Yeah, understandable. But yeah, so what is your favorite of the Traditionis songs that you came out with?
My favorite, I would say I got a couple. I like Under Construction, because it, I don't think I think there's some people who have I guess an understanding of the difficulty of writing a rap song. And when I say difficulty, it depends on how difficult you want to make it. So growing up, I was big onto lyricism. And I think the person who does it really well, you got Nas, Eminem. Those guys do a really great job of adding lyricism onto, and even Kendrick Lamar will do a pretty good job. And I try to pride myself into being a lyricist within the Catholic sphere of the category and topic and context. Now, Under Construction, you have to you have the beat laid in front of you. You have to pick the right words in order to have multiple syllable rhymes, right? And then what multiple syllable rhymes really means is, for example, let's say you want 2 or 3 syllable rhymes. It means the last 2 words of the first line rhyme with the last 2 words of the second line. So you're not rhyming one word after another. You're actually rhyming 2 words, or sometimes 3 words. So sometimes you have the entire line rhyme. So, and then trying to get it to fit in onto the beat cadence wise, writing it, having it all make sense all at the same time, and delivering it through your vocals and making it sound the way you want. So there's so many components that go into it. So to me, Under Construction was very challenging to write. And then once it was done, I was pleased with what it came up with. It's the struggle for me is trying to get the song to sound in reality as it sounds in my head before I record it. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And I just have to just put it out there and just deal with it, and just be humble about it as much as I possibly can. So Under Construction, because of how challenging it was, I like the message. I like the message of virtue and just telling men to be men. And my other favorite song was Gender Roles, mainly because I tried to make it as catchy as possible.
It's incredibly catchy.
Thanks, but I try to make it as catchy as possible, and it with a direct contrary to the current culture.
Yeah.
It's, you go raise the children and I'll go out to work. It's like, talk about traditional family with a catchy song, because that's what the secular world does to us. They'll make a catchy song to get stuck in our head, and our subconscious picks it up, but the words are horrible. and it's contrary to the gospel.
Yeah, you're always trying to force music into sort of meaning what you want it to mean. With secular music, you're trying to, if you're listening to it and you're conscious of what it's saying, you
Yes.
sort of have to try and force it into at least if you're listening to sort of like decently clean music, like or I guess just clean music in general. They can still have a
Right.
bad message in some ways or be meaning something not correct, but you can sort of make it mean what you want it to mean.
Correct. Yeah.
But you don't have to do this with your music.
No. Yeah. No. I think I have an endless amount of topics. And we're talking about the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I
have endless
mean,
amount. Yeah.
just think about how many podcasts there are about anything
Yeah.
Catholic related.
Yeah.
It's
I have an
endless,
endless
pretty
amount
much.
of topics. I think the secular world is really stuck and enslaved to themselves.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, not just music, but like in every cultural aspect, they run out of topics all the time.
Yes.
They don't have any level of creativity.
And there's no depth either. You're right. Yeah.
True. Yeah. It's like if you go to something classical. I'm stuck on this. I talked to Vonday Radio about this too, but I'm stuck on this, like The Sword and the Stone. Have you ever
Yeah.
watched that Disney movie?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just have you listened to the full song on YouTube of the sort? So you know how the movie begins with when England was young and the knights were brave and bold, um
Okay.
basically, but there's a longer version of the song on YouTube, and it has even more, it has even greater depth
Mm,
and meaning, and I mean it's really all about it. I mean it's about God's providence, and as well as
really?
the person who is going to fulfill God's providence is the most humble,
Mm, that's
as
deep.
well
That's
as well
cool.
as not to mention just a hierarchy that is completely rejected by modern man.
Yeah. Yeah. Do what thou wilt, right?
What?
Do what thou wilt. Isn't that
Oh, yes.
the current the current culture's motto?
Yes, though they would never say it so eloquently.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so like that's sort of the thing is like, yeah, they used to have they used to have beauty that they could rely on in culture,
Mm,
and now they reject beauty. And it's interesting because I know there are a lot of critics of rap that sort of don't see that beauty can come out of rap, if
sure.
that makes sense. And I think you're showing where the beauty can be found in rap.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I'm really trying to do. I mean, because I don't have talent in other realms of music, and I don't necessarily have talent when it comes to rap. I think a lot of it is just the fact that I've been doing it for so long, it became work. Something that I ended up, you kind of master something when you do it for such a long time. And then, you put it down for a while and you pick it back up, you realize, okay, I still have it. You can still put words together and formulate it, and then able to put the cadence together. Um, but no, I can see what you're saying, and I understand, because rap really, the genesis of rap, it really came from, it started with gangster rap. So I can understand it has a pretty, you know, people can be turned away from it because of where it came from and what it's represented for such a long time. But there is conscious rap that's out there. It's just not as famous. People don't know too much about it.
Yeah. I mean, also one of the things that catches my ears with your music is I like to be able to understand sort of the story or the moral or the just whatever's trying to be get across in the song. And I don't in either a lot of songs I don't understand what they're trying to get across, or it's either vulgar or generic.
Right. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of it, especially right now. And I mean, it also in the early '90s, rap did transition from gangster rap to more immodesty, blasphemy, and just vainglory. It's all
Yeah.
about what I got,
Yeah.
flaunting what you have.
Yes, exactly. And it's in some ways it's just it's inspiring people to do more of that and to be materialistic and to basically aspire to just have stuff.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
I want to quickly talk, and add to that. And I think the reason they do that, and this is well known, the music industry uh, cannot exist without artists. And in the '80s and '90s, the music industry would make the the lifestyle of a certain rapper or musician to appear to be shiny, kind of like how the devil did to Eve. It was delightful to the senses, the fruit. So they'll have the shiny ball to this person and say, "Look at what I've got. Look at my life." So that way, other young artists can come in who are talented, get signed to a record label, and now they're enslaved to that record label because, well, most people don't understand the record labels are extremely evil. They're extremely evil, and what they do to artists. Nowadays, it's a little bit easier to make it without a record label because they don't have much of a stronghold anymore because you have just as much power and a medium, I guess, to get to your fans as they do through Spotify and things like that. But if you look at the record label, what they used to do, they would sign you to a record company. They would give you they would give you a signing bonus, and it'd be like $250,000, for example. But what they don't tell most artists, and you've got this long contract that you're signing because you just want to be famous. You're not reading through it. You're signed to 15 years and 8 albums, for example, and you're signed into a $250,000 a contract. Well, that's not your money. What happens is they wait and see what your first album does. If you're Because they're going to take that 250 back, and then whatever you make on top of that to the album. When at that time, artists were making 58 cents to $1 per album, and the company was selling at $15 an album. So they're keeping 90% of it.
Wow.
So now that $250,000, you already spent it on cars and jewelry so that you can have that type of lifestyle. And then when the album flops, it's, hey, you are now 250 in the red. So that's how they
Yikes.
hook you. It's really evil what they do.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea really like the sort of that basic nature of it. That's really terrible. And at least now you have there's so many more options.
Yeah.
So much more independence these days. Which
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
You're right.
Now, one of your songs that I really like a lot is "I'm So Tired." Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for listening to it. I appreciate that. Uh, I'm So Tired was, I think, the last song I made. My wife pretty much was like, okay, 11 tracks, that's it. I was like, one more. So then I ended up making Be Like You, and it was number 12. That was the 12th song. And then she's like, okay, that's it, you're done. And I was like, okay, one more, because the producer sent me this instrument, and I actually had this melody in my head. I'm so tired because I really wanted to make a Marian song,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to have like a Catholic Marian version of Jesus Take the Wheel.
Okay.
So what I came up with is Mary, won't you please drive because I'm so tired, and it's really a song about the consecration. Because what happens in the consecration? You are now delegating, or you're giving Mary the authority to dispense the graces of our sacrifices to whom she pleases, because she, being in heaven, and the mediatrix of all graces knows who needs it more. So our sacrifice is now offered up, and she gets to distribute it how she pleases. So it was really, it's trying to say, you drive. I'm tired of doing it on my own. I can't obtain virtue and grace and holiness without your help, without your intercession and the graces that God has allowed you to, because she's the mediatrix of all graces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really where the song came about. And I had the melody in my head beforehand. When I got the instrumental, I put it down. It really fit perfectly. And then it was at that time, once the hook comes down, once the hook goes in, it's really just fitting the verses in.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I just really love that song. I feel like so many of us feel very tired because of this world, and I feel like
Yeah.
that just puts it just really gets to the heart of the matter. And
Right.
focusing on Mary for that just makes a lot of sense. Just as much as you would go to your mother when you're tired.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
That's very well put. That's exactly it. Exactly what it is. It's very well put on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so tell us about your upcoming album. Give us some details, like when should we expect it? I know a single is already out, Unite the Clans. I don't know if that's technically part of the album or what, however it works, but
It is part of the album. Yeah. The Clans is the official single of the album is called Hope in You, and that comes out October 11th, the single itself. And it's really a song of hope, because for my first single was a fight song, Die for This. The second one, I think there's so much despair out there, especially among Christians. We, sometimes we take these L's politically and socially, and even within the church. I think that sometimes we forget that God is in charge, and putting our hope in Christ is ultimately the best thing to do. So it's called Hope in You, and it's got a very it's a very uplifting song, and I think Rob is the only person that I had sent it to review, because
yes, I'm incredibly jealous.
I picked a handful of folks that I wanted to kind of view the single, to tell me what they thought and anything to change.
Mhm.
I'm not, I take any criticism or any direction from anybody. But
That's
so
actually
far,
probably why I'd be the worst to do it, to be sent it, because I'd be so bad at being able to give any criticism.
criticism, yeah.
I'd just be like, "This is amazing."
Well, actually, that was Rob's. Good old Rob. He's such a nice guy. And so are you, Connor. I appreciate it. He really liked the song. He gave me a nice description of what he thought about it, and I appreciated that. And it's a powerful song. So that will be the. But this album has I think it's less theological
Okay.
and more to do a lot. I think with the human struggle, and and I guess it's a crusade against ourselves, against the passions. It's really that.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why I'm calling the album Deus Vult.
Oh, that's so
Um,
awesome.
God wills it. And it's going to be 14 tracks, so I think maybe one or two more tracks than the Traditiones. And the difference between this album and the other album, I think 3 or 4 melodic songs. There's one of them I think you're gonna like, Connor. It's called On the Cross. It's pretty melodic. There's another song called Married Young. It's about the traditional Catholic families who fill the entire pew with the TLM for married young.
Yeah.
And I have Margaret Knapp, Mag's Music. She's featuring on that one, and she's got an incredible voice. She's a Catholic artist.
So
Incredible voice.
you found someone with a voice?
Found someone with a good voice. Yeah, she's got a great voice. I highly recommend people follow her music. I think she's coming out with some new music too, and that is a really it's a really catchy song, and it's got a great beat to it. I got a song called Temptation. I just released it today, just a sample of it, and it's the Screw Tape Letters in rap form in a way. So it's really the devil doing a class, putting a class together for other demons on how to tempt someone who's single, married, the seminarian, and a priest. So it goes to 4 verses.
Yeah.
I got a song called well, it's called The Great Awakening, but it's really about the social kingship of Christ,
Okay.
and it's kind of anti-Great Reset song. Uh, and
That's funny.
that's a heavy hit. That'd be great at the gym. It's a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
And then I got
You said it'd be great at the gym. What is sort of the what do you imagine people like? What situation would people be listening to this album in?
yeah, I think it depends on the song. There are a lot
Okay.
more songs on this album that are more gym friendly. Uh, I think there's maybe one or two more songs on this album versus Tradiciones that you can pop into the gym and really just get a good workout in, because they're heavy hitters. I got a song there. I just finished my last song of the album called Real Men, and that song that's a heavy hitter, and it's really great for the gym as well. Or if you can listen, for example, to a song like On the Cross or Married Young, the melodic songs, they're good for the car. They're good for a nice drive before mass or after mass.
Okay.
You know, it sets the mood for a nice Sunday. It just gets, it gets the heart stirred. And that's what we want to do. I wanted to make music for traditional Catholics, for families. I'm not looking to get famous. I'm not looking to get rich. So and
That should be a
the
song. I'm not
what is it?
looking to. This should be a song. I'm not looking to get famous. I'm not looking to get rich.
Actually, there is a song in this album called Family,
Okay.
and it's really about I'll let you hear it once it comes out. That's a good song too. But yeah, the Clan song, actually, what was it? It was inspired by. There's two songs that were inspired by Anthony's tweets. Believe it or not. Believe it or
Oh
not.
my.
The
Are
first
they
song.
about women driving?
Well, yes. Asian women driving.
No,
No,
any women driving.
any women driving. Yeah, I know his views on that. They're kind of hilarious.
I think it's a little different ever since he crashed.
Is that right? Did he crash just recently?
Yeah.
Poor guy. Just funny. The first song, did you hear The Box?
Say that again.
Did you hear the song called The Box?
I think so, but I
think
can't remember.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube. I put it out there. If you listen to that one,
It was one of the last. I was going through your YouTube channel, the sort of the last bit.
yeah, it's kind of fairly new. I think it's about maybe a month old or so. But it was a tweet that Anthony had put up, and I remember he put up a tweet about him not be able to get into confession because somebody was taking so long.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to make a song that I think most Catholics relate to. Is how you're standing in line at a Novus Ordo parish for the confessions for like 30 minutes on a Saturday afternoon.
I thought it
And
was I thought it was 15 minutes before mass. Now it's coming back to me.
pretty much it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're next in line and you're ready to go in, and somebody comes and says, "Sorry, Father has to get ready for mass." And then you got to move on. So that's what the song is about. And then the second song was the Clan song, because I remember he put up a tweet talking about all the great people that he had met through Twitter, and how we should all get together as strads and stop the infighting amongst each other, because we all have the same goal. And I decided to write the Clan song after that one. So
the Skojak part is the most hard hitting of that.
I had to admit. I mean, as much as he's struggling with the faith, and I do pray for him. He had a pretty, I guess you would say, a pretty positive impact on a lot of folks when he was doing his apostolate, 1 Peter 5. So I can't take that away from him. I think I had to give him props because of all the work that he put in, even though right now he is struggling with his faith, and I don't want to judge the person. So this is where I wanted to pray for him specifically, and add him in there too.
It's very beautiful. It's a very
you.
beautiful part of it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and just the variety of people is just very makes you smile, I think.
Yeah, good guys. All of them are just good guys. I think I have one girl on there.
Wait, who's the girl that got it? I don't remember.
Kristen Nicole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Oh yeah,
that's
no,
why I said. That's why I
said
said if my enemy falls, I'm thinking Kennedy Hall, Kristen Nicole, the perfect Christian the goal.
oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. The Kennedy Hall ones that's really good.
Great guy, great dude.
Um,
I love Kennedy and his
mhm.
report. I think he's a very level-headed and is a good guy.
But the way you put his name in, like that, very very well done. Also just Rob and Anthony just plopped into there. I feel like they themselves would say that they feel out of place in that grouping kind of thing, just like which is kind of funny to me. But
Right,
yeah,
right. Yeah.
Rob was like, I can't believe I'm named in a song.
Well, I'm gonna tell Rob. I'm sorry that it's from a no-name rapper living in the middle of nowhere. I wish it was somebody more famous.
You never know. You never know. You've only released one album.
Right, right.
You know, you got to start somewhere.
So something.
It doesn't mean that you're not going to be well known in like 5 years.
But whatever God wants. Yeah. I
Exactly.
got a
Deus
I got
Vult.
invited to Days Vault, if God wills it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Good point. I got invited to do a concert for a young adult group, a big conference in April in Texas.
How does that work with with the music you do? How would that work?
Well, it's actually very simple because I have all the instrumentals and I can really put in and take out anything I want, any vocals. If I want to keep the hook in, I can keep the hook in. So if I'm up on stage and I got my mic and I want the verse to be live, I could just take the verse part out of it, especially like Die for This. You hear the hook, then you hear the beat, and I'll come out rapping live. Or I could keep the hook, I could sing with the hook. So there's a variety of ways that I could do it. And now, especially with the 2 albums, I only have about 27 songs that I could pick from to do a pretty
Mhm.
long concert.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So
Yeah.
where in Texas is that gonna be?
It's gonna be in Dallas,
Okay. And did
Dallas
you say
area.
April?
Yeah, it's sometime in April. It's a young adult conference, youth conference. It's more like young adult, not youth. I'm sorry. And last year, I think they had 600 people there.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I miss performing. I used to perform a lot in the early 2011, 2012. We were performing a lot, and I haven't performed in a long time. But I miss performing because being on stage is fun. That's where I proposed to my wife I was
Uh,
doing a concert.
wow, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I was
bold.
yes, and I called her up, and then I quoted Chesterton, and then I got on my knee and one knee.
Aw, that's cute. What was the
Thanks.
quote?
You know
Do you
what? If
remember?
I remember it correctly, I got to go back to the video. I don't know. It's actually I heard it from Sheen, but Sheen was quoting Chesterton.
So you
Yeah, it's about. He says, "I have I have 3 lambs burning before me," and then he goes through it. I gotta. This was back in 20. It was 10 years ago. I gotta get back to the quote to learn it again. But I
got-
remember memorizing it just for that specific moment.
gotcha. No, yeah, I mean, it'd be odd if you still or it'd be impressive, I guess, if you still remembered it exactly.
Right?
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Once you said yes, I just
yeah, who cares beyond that? Um, exactly. So how can people support you?
really it's just I stream my music on. I don't have a Patreon. I don't intend on making one. Uh, it's really just purchase the album and check out my YouTube, help me grow there, and then stream my stuff on Spotify. Because whatever money I make off of that, it's really the money I made on the first album. I almost broke even, but I used that money to actually make the second album.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's what I really wanted to do. Now I'm going to take a long break from music after the second album. Now
Aw.
I'll still make a song here and there, but not a whole full album.
Okay.
And then just perform wherever I'm needed. If people want me to perform, I'll do that. But I really want to get back to doing more of the skits I was doing
Okay. Where
on the
and that's on your YouTube channel, right?
yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. Yeah, the skits.
Yeah, okay. And your what is your YouTube channel called again?
Enoch.
Okay, because I know that Enoch and Elijah, I'm not sure. Was it at one point Enoch and Elijah, or has it always
I
been?
changed it yesterday. Yeah, it was really supposed to be my brother and I, but he's just gotten so busy. He's not able to come out, and so, and he was starting his own album. Again, he got so busy that I think he put it on the back burner. He might come back to it again. No, talk about a very talented lyricist. He's a great writer.
Gotcha.
He's a
Awesome.
great writer. So I think if he comes out an album, I'll be really excited. But I just changed it to Enoch because I'll be putting out more content myself.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll be putting links in the description so
Thank you.
buying the album is on iTunes or where?
iTunes, Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Amazon.
and then your YouTube channel and then Spotify as well.
Right. I
Awesome.
have a link tree if people just want to go onto the link tree.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, send me that and I'll post that.
Yeah, that'll make it easier for you. Just one link.
Making my life easy. So yeah, okay, awesome. But like, how long do you think your break will be? Do you have any idea on when there possibly could be a third album, or not really?
I don't know. It takes so much money and effort to make it
Yeah.
that I gotta take a break from it, and then the skits, and it doesn't take, the skits are free. It's my phone, my wife, and holding the camera, and me editing it. But music, it's a lot more involved. Now I could make the music. I could make the music free, but it's not gonna be the quality that I put out, and I refuse to do that.
Yeah.
If
No, I
if I'm
mean,
putting music, yeah.
I don't think anyone would want you to.
Yeah, I couldn't do that, especially because I'm a big believer. This is why the Catholic Church has the gold, the incense, everything that we could offer here on earth that has great value, we offer it to God. And I didn't want to put something out there, for a lot of lack of better words, cheesy. If it's going to be associated with Christ, I want to make it as, as beautiful and as high production as it possibly can, and that requires money. And luckily, folks have been very generous. I put out a give, send, go to finish the second album. I was short $600 to finish the album, and then people were so generous. I ended up making 100% of that in one day.
Wow. Is there any
Yeah.
other are you doing anything like that right now, or?
No, I got exactly what I needed to the dollar. I didn't want anything extra. I
Okay.
used all 600 to finish the last 3 songs of the album. And then that's it. Once the album was finished, I could put it out there, and let people listen to it, stream it, and share it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been fun. I'll probably end up releasing, like, every once in a while, like a single, like a song.
Okay.
That's easier to do. Other than that, I'll be doing skits.
Awesome. Okay. And but I also wanted to say, like, I do believe that uh if you want to have something that is worthy of bringing glory to God, it needs to be something that you put time and money into. I mean, your time is money, so in the sense that you're always doing
Mm,
that. But
It's true.
people need to be willing to support good culture, because they're plenty willing to support bad culture. So if we could just redirect our finances from bad culture to good culture, uh, the world would be in a better place. And it's the same. It's different. It's not exactly, but it's the same, or same uh, um, sort of premise of why we should build beautiful churches.
Yes. Good point.
Bring glory to God in everything we do, but obviously the focus should be in the sacrifice of the mass.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. I think a lot of times you got in the 60s, you got some of these men in the 70s who were trying to be more simplistic and humble in their approach, but you spent so much money ransacking some of these parishes and some of these churches that in the 1800s, or for example, even earlier than there, then families gave all they had. And I think it's a sin against piety, I think that you're stepping on the graves of those that had the blood, sweat, and tears, and all the money that they had to build these beautiful churches for God. And you go in there and you ransack them, and you build something that is simple, and you say, "Here we are, we're humble," and I just don't buy it. I agree with
Yeah.
you.
So please check out Enoch's music, and please support Plotlines. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And again, join the Discord if you're into that sort of thing. And thank you all for listening. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Enoch, do you have anything else? Last minute?
No, thanks again for let me hang out with you tonight, Connor. You're a good man, and I appreciate the invite.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's an honor to have you. So I wish you all the best in your work and with your music, as well as with your skits and
Thank
with your
you.
family. God bless.
God bless.